Hey everybody, Invisiblekatana here with my review for Birds of Prey and the Emancipation of one the Fantabulous Emancipation of one Harley Quinn. I had it like 5 effing times before I started this review and I still screwed it up. But anyway, there will be spoilers in this review, but they'll be in the second half, so of course I'll let you guys know when I get to that. But just to start things off, I was pleasantly surprised by this movie. I actually enjoyed it. It wasn't dark and depressing like some of the other DC movies. I feel they've at this point there's been like at least two movies in with Shazam and Aquaman. They've kind of gotten away from that. Wonder Woman I think is a decent balance, or the new one I think will be a decent balance. The first one was, although it obviously wasn't comedy first. That was like drama first. Shazam was comedy first. Aquaman is genuinely like straight down the middle. Like it's hard to tell if it's a comedy movie that's an action movie or if it's an action movie that's got comedy in it. Like it's so right down the middle. This was clearly a comedy movie, just like with Suicide Squad, but this was better. Suicide Squad wasn't my least favorite. I know a lot of people like just truly hate that one. I always hated Batman v Superman. I can't stand that movie. But Suicide Squad was okay. I just thought it was okay. They had some stuff in it that was really dumb. Killer Croc just wanted BET. I'm just like, come on. Just come on. That's like the blackest stereotype you can get. It's like chicken, it's watermelon chicken BET. And they're like, Killer Croc wants BET. Whatever. So the movie wasn't that great. But this one I thought was pretty good. I thought the comedy was well done. I thought the story was well done. It is a very similar style to Suicide Squad. Like they kept it going. Like it wasn't just like, oh, it's Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn again. And clearly it's in the same universe, which I'm very curious how that's going to play out, because it's like they're supposed to be rebooting the Suicide Squad, but then they made this. Who knows what they're doing. But at least this one's good. Maybe they'll just keep it in universe and just be like, yeah, they're rebooting it, but it's still gonna. I don't know. It's hard to say because it's supposed to be the same people that were in the last one, so it's supposed to be Deadshot and all that stuff. So I don't know what they're gonna do after this movie, but at least this one was good. It's not what you would expect going from Suicide Squad, which was kind of in the vein of like Guardians of the Galaxy a little bit, where it was had the musical stuff. They didn't do that as much in the movie. They did like in the first half, and then the second half was like generic movie. And this I thought was a good balance throughout. It was definitely funny. They had great jokes throughout the movie. They did a lot of stuff with the music kind of tying into the events on screen, and I was like, all right, I like this. One thing that really surprised me was how much I enjoyed the action, and that's probably one of my favorite things about this. And it's mostly because of it's like a comic book thing that you never really see on TV and stuff like that. But it's the fact that Harley Quinn can actually fight. Like she's actually a really good fighter, but you never really see that because it's always, Joker. Like he's number one and then Harley Quinn's there. And that's kind of how that plays out. And even in Suicide Squad, there were like a million people. She hit some people with bats and she had guns. And this, I was like, we get to see her do a lot of cool stuff. And then we also get to see the other, the Birds of Prey. They also do some cool stuff as well. So I was very surprised by that, but I loved it. I thought the action was incredibly well done. And they utilized slow motion, but in a really good way. It wasn't like overly done. It was like, okay, it's stylized for some of the stuff that she does, like the scene in the trailer where she goes in and she's shooting people with a grenade launcher. With beanbags, of course, because obviously she would just be blowing people up left and right, and she'd be killing herself because you can't shoot a grenade launcher that close. But they do some really good stuff with it, and I was like, all right, I like this. I like the way it looks. I like the way the action flows, the story, the way they did it. It was interesting. I won't give it away. I'll talk about that more in the spoiler, but the way the story plays out isn't exactly what I was anticipating, and I think that does make the I think it's entertaining in general, but I think the way they do it is definitely done in a more comedic sense. Like it's definitely like, let's have fun with this, let's just F around and have a really silly, crazy story. And I think they do a really good job with that. I think everyone acts fairly well in the film. I think everyone did a pretty good job. My favorite probably being Ewan McGregor. And it's mostly just the way that they had his character played, I thought was really cool. Because I know the character of Black Mask, especially for anyone who's probably seen like, Batman Red Hood, the animated movie, Black Mask is a huge part of that storyline. And so he's a big part of that movie. So that's kind of like the big thing I really know him from. And he's got kind of like bit parts here and there. And he was a big player in Arkham Origins. So like everyone's least favorite Arkham game. Well, I guess it depends. But like you don't get to see him too much. But like I know him enough to be like, huh, that's an interesting version of his character. So I love the way they handled that. There's another character that's in this that's really good. Once again, I don't want to give spoilers. There's some people that show up where it's like, oh, they random overall DC universe type stuff. or there are at least references to some of them. But I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was a good movie. I'm like I said, the main thing is I'm just curious where they're going with it because of all the crap going on surrounding like specifically Batman and Superman. Anything involving those two characters, I'm just like, I don't know what to really trust because like I said, they're supposed to be rebooting the Suicide Squad, and then they're doing this. So it's like, and then the Batman stuff, they're making a new Batman movie because Ben Affleck isn't doing it anymore. So it's like, is that going to be alternate universe stuff? Are they going to keep it in line with their cinematic universe or whatever they're doing? So we shall see. But I'd say this is a good one. This is another good step. I was like, oh man, I thought this was going to be the one that kind of just was going up. It was like we had. Wonder Woman came out way before like Justice League. Justice League was meh. I thought Justice League was meh. And it was just like, Justice League was meh. Aquaman came out was better, and I freaking love Shazam. So I was like, okay, we're going up. Everything seems like it's going good. And then every trailer of this, I was just like, I'm not excited, but it was pretty good. And it wasn't just my expectations were so low. It just was like it met the nothing that I went in with. It was genuinely just like, okay, I had nothing, and it was like, all right, this is actually just really entertaining. Like, there's specific scenes in this movie where I'm like, that was just super cool and fun to watch, and I'd love to see it again. So stuff like that is like, all right, not only did it meet the very low expectations I had, it definitely surpassed them. So I'm very happy that this was another good movie. So I'm hoping it stays that way. I've heard a little bit that some people, it was like critics liked it, but fans didn't. That's kind of what I've been hearing. But I've heard it's got a decent score. We'll see what happens kind of over this weekend where things start to play out. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good movie. I like the characters. I would love to see, once again, who the F knows what connection they're making with any of the freaking movies they have. But I would be very excited to see where this would go, considering they have like 5 new characters within the DC universe now. So I would love to see how that plays out, but all in all, I actually recommend it. I was very scared going into it because I was just like, it just doesn't. I think it was just because it was going off of the Suicide Squad stuff, and it was like, well, she was the best thing about it, so let's make a movie. And I was just like, I think that's just what had me worried because I was just like, they're just doing this just because she's the best part of that movie, but also that doesn't really mean much because she didn't really get to do that much in the movie. It was like, yeah, she was the best part of like, a small percentage. When there's like 15 characters in a movie, you can be the best part. That means you got like 10 minutes. Like that, admittedly, that's not much. So I was a bit worried, but I was definitely glad to have seen this. I'm glad it wasn't crappy. We'll just have to wait and see, kind of where it goes. But I would recommend it if you guys are kind of on the fence about it. I actually do think it's worth checking out. So, it's all up to you. If you're super excited for it, I think you'll enjoy it. I wasn't excited at all. I was just like, comic book movie. Let's see what happens. I didn't think it would be as bad as like, for me, Batman v Superman, but I didn't think it was gonna rank really high. And like, just going through it, I was like, all right, this is really high up there for, admittedly not the highest bar with all the DC films we have, but it's definitely getting better. I mean, we got at least half the movies are good because I think Man of Steel was all right. Hate Batman v Superman. Justice League was very meh. Suicide Squad, kind of the same thing. And then Wonder Woman's good. Shazam's good. Aquaman is good, and this is good. So yeah, 4 and 4, and we'll see what happens going forward. We'll see what happens with all the sequels, and of course Wonder Woman is the next one to come out. That just looks like it's going to be entertaining, so I hope it is. I'm actually excited for that one, but definitely recommend this movie. So of course, check it out if you're interested, of course. But I think it's good. I think they're good. I just realized we finally hit it where they're just at a plateau, and it's like good DC movies, live action, because the animated movies are just like so good. But that's it as far as non-spoilers. So if you have not seen the movie, full-on spoilers from this point on. So either you have already seen it or you just don't care. So I'm going to get right into spoilers. The first thing I have to say is the one thing that sucks, they killed Ewan McGregor's character. They killed Black Mask. And I was like, that sucks that they killed him because I thought he did a great job. And I was like, I would have loved to have seen him in more movies because I've never seen a version of Black Mask where his cockiness is also him being like super insecure. And I thought that was pretty cool. Like, he's always the cocky character where it's like, I'm badass, he wears the suits and stuff like that, and he's super cool and he's tough. But this was like, anytime something goes wrong, he's like breaking down, like the part where he finds out Canary betrayed him. He's like about to cry on the phone. And I was like, this is really entertaining to watch. I thought that was super cool. And also, I didn't know Zaz was in this movie. That was also super cool. I was like, huh, I'm so used to the dude being bald, so if anyone's not bald, I'm not even gonna think about it. He had scars all like right on his face, but it was just like kind of in one section, so I was like, it's just a little fight or something. And then they said it was Victor's ass. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I didn't expect him to be in that, so that was nice. They referenced Captain Boomerang. I don't know what that means, but they're like, hey, let's stick in there, so maybe Jai Courtney will come around as the character nobody cares about. Who knows? Maybe we'll see. But I thought they did a good job with Ewan McGregor's casting and just his entire performance as Black Mask. I'm like, man, it sucks that he had to die. Like he's like the one. If there's ever a moment to do the most comic book thing where the dude just gets arrested and gets put in Arkham Asylum, this was that time. Because I'd be like, man, I would love to see him just kind of shelved for a minute. He gets defeated, but he's just shelved at Arkham Asylum, and then they can just pull him back at some point later in the DC Universe films, and then we get to see him maybe team up with somebody else or whatever. And I was just like, man, that sucks. Epic way to kill him, where they flip him off the flip him off the pier and he just blows up, and his chunks went flying. And I was trying to think, isn't this PG-13? Because they say fuck quite a few times. I was like, they definitely went past that one fuck per PG-13 limit, but they also didn't do that much. It wasn't like super crazy. Anything that was violent was kind of over the top violence, like Harley stepping on the dude's legs, or when she bashed the one dude's both his legs in, bashed one leg in, and then bashes it back. Which was, that whole fight scene is probably my favorite. Was her like fighting all the prisoners. That might be my favorite. Like that whole segment, just her in the police station. Fighting wise, at least, like the grenade launcher stuff was cool to look at, but the actual combat, I was like, this is pretty intense. Like she's doing some really cool stuff. She's doing like flips and all this stuff. A couple of those times she should have been shot. Like Montoya should have totally shot her. Like she threw the phone up. I was like, boom, boom, she'd be down for the count, and she was just all stunned. And she flips and kicks the phone right in the face. And I was like, that was pretty sick. That was a pretty badass move. But it totally should have just boom right in their legs while she was doing the fancy stuff. But I enjoyed it. I thought the action was good. Black Mask was fantastic. Like I said, I wish they didn't kill him. Zaz, I don't mind. I thought it was entertaining. Like just watching their the way that they were, their chemistry together. I was like, this is really interesting. Because for a second, I was like, are they together? Because you could tell that obviously Black Mask was like losing it and stuff, and it was like Zaz was the one who was always calming him down, and it was specifically, I think, after they lost the diamond and stuff, and Zaz, they were just super close. But that's kind of movies in general. Characters would be like this, like even in TV, like people would be talking, and it's just like they're like face to face. It's weird, but I think that has more to do with like audio and stuff like that. But they just always do it. It's just easy to get people in the shot when they're basically kissing. But I don't know. I was like, that's interesting, and I just like that balance for the character where this is the guy who's at the top, especially with Joker kind of losing Harley Quinn. It's like, all right, that was always the thing. Black Mask was always like, admittedly, he was always kind of number two. Like, it's always everybody else, but I always felt like Black Mask was really number two. Like, Penguin kind of does his own thing, and then is like Joker taking over the city, or it's Black Mask. Like, it's always like, and Joker, being Joker, he's always on top because he's just that insane. But Black Mask is the calculating guy who wants to do that. Everyone else kind of just always has their chunk, and Black Mask, I always feel, is the guy who's like, I'm going to take over everything. Everyone else is just like, this is my piece, and I'll probably expand. But Black Mask is like, his whole thing is like, I have to have more. And I like seeing that in this movie where like he's doing pretty well for himself. But every time that little thing goes wrong, especially considering it was a big case, like he's about to get this diamond and get millions upon millions of dollars, every time something went wrong, he's like breaking down. He's freaking out. The scene where he had the woman like dance on the table was actually a fantastic scene. I was like, this is really messed up and dark. And because he's flipping out, and he's like, what's so funny? And he's like, get on the table and start dancing and stuff. And then he tells the dude like, cut her dress open and stuff. And she's freaking out. She's crying and dancing. I was like, this is a really crazy scene. And he's just like dancing and stuff. And I was like, this is really well done. Like, it was a really good scene to just show this character is just so mentally unstable. But I like that idea. And Zaz is like the guy who's kind of there to help him out a little bit. Like, let's stay focused with our, craziness. We'll be mad about this specific thing. We'll calm down a little bit, have a little fun, just relax, and then we'll kill some people later. And then, he has to be there to kind of help out, and he's the right-hand man. So I thought that was pretty cool. It was an interesting version of Zaz as a character as well. So I definitely like both those characters. Both gone now, of course. But they were definitely great villains. I thought it was really cool to actually watch them kind of just go through the motions in this film and kind of see how things play out. And like I said, it was unfortunate at the end because I would have loved to have seen Black Mask come back somewhere down the line in another film, which they could pull off the crazy stuff. They're doing that Flashpoint movie, so technically they probably could pull that off if they wanted to, because that's what they say they're doing for Flash. It's supposed to be Flashpoint, and then that'll kind of reboot everything. So, excuse me, anyone that they don't want in the movies will just be gone, and anyone that they want to keep, it'll be like, they may or may not be alive now. So we'll see about that. They could bring him back, but for now, unfortunately, he's gone. He does die at Amusement Mile, which was interesting. That's a cool little spot that they pulled from the comics. So I was like, all right, that's cool that they pulled that one in there. All the characters I thought were well done. Montoya was really cool. Black Canary was cool. I wish we got to see her use her powers more, but I like the way they did it, where if she uses her powers, like it kind of knocked her out, like it drained her of her energy, and it's probably because she doesn't do stuff like that all the time, so it like took her down. And I was like, that's actually a cool idea. Like, she mostly just fought, but that was really cool. Huntress honestly might be like my second favorite character in the movie, just because of how weird she is as a person. Like, they make it where she's like this assassin, she's going around, but she's not as cool. Like, she goes around, she calls herself Huntress, and then they do like the backstory, and she has to like practice in the mirror. It's like, do you know who I am? And everyone calls her the crossbow killer and stuff like that. And I was like, this is actually really well done. And they kept messing with her where she's like, during the fight, is like the bow and arrow thing, and she was like, it's not a fucking bow and arrow, I'm not 12. And she's just mad. She's got like some social issues, and I was just like, I love the way that was done. It was so small, but I was like, this is actually fantastic. Like, it was a small part, but I just loved it. Like, when they're at the diner and stuff, and she's like has to do this awkward fist bump. It's like, I like the way you kick so well in those tight pants and stuff, like just weird stuff like that. And then when Harley steals the car, she just bursts out laughing. It's like, oh, that's not funny. I'm sorry. So stuff like that, like her social awkwardness, that was great. I thought that was really well done. It was super obvious that it was her. Like, as soon as they showed that flashback with the family and they showed the girl, I was like, okay, she hid behind the bodies and she faked like she died. Like, I just knew it was going to be her. And it was like, oh, of course, that's what happened. I didn't expect her to actually be taken to another family. I was like, oh, I didn't see that coming. So then she gets trained by assassins and stuff. And she got her revenge, which was like, that could have been a movie in itself. And it's just like, all right, I got everyone. I killed Zaz at the end, and I'm out. And she was literally just going to be like, I'm done. And then that was it. But, of course, they're in the middle of the fight, so they go through the motions. Pretty cool fight scene at the end as well. Like, them fighting in the funhouse was actually really entertaining. So I love that for sure. Put out some cool references here and there. We got to see some animated stuff, like the opening of the movie. I love the animation there. And they show like Harley Quinn in her old outfit, which they also did in the Suicide Squad. And then they have like the corset version of it, where it's not the full outfit, but she gives that to Montoya. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And they have like the Daddy's Little Girl shirt in there to reference Suicide Squad. They also had the bat, which I guess wasn't in the old movie. I think it was in the old movie. I know that I've seen people with that bat before this movie came out, but it's the one that says like "Good Girl" on it or something like that. So I think that's the bat she had in Suicide Squad, and if not, that's something they've sold as her bat before. So she may or may not have had that in Suicide Squad. I don't remember because it's been so long. I don't remember if that's what was on her bat, but that's Harley Quinn's bat. So I think it was. I just don't remember. So that was cool. Had the throwbacks there. Like I said, Boomerang was in it for a second. His picture. So I guess they're keeping some stuff in, even though they're rebooting it. I don't know. But definitely loved the villains in it. Like I said, I love the action in it. And I'm curious to see where they're going to go. We got the hyena. We got one hyena. They couldn't do two, but we got one. So that was pretty cool. And we'll see where they go with this whole Birds of Prey idea. They did have Huntress like in her actual outfit towards the end. Like, it was sort of her outfit. Like, she had her things. Because hers are like kind of pointy and stuff. So I was like, oh, that's cool. They gave her that. And her shirt had like the white line. It's like an upside down tee. That's actually what she has in her outfit. It's not just like a sport jacket though. It's a comic outfit. But I was like, that's cool. I like the way they do that. They gave Black Canary, they gave her like a little bit of the fishnet for the cleavage and stuff. And I was like, okay, that's like the little fishnet deal. Because of course the original Black Canary outfit, she basically just wears fishnets. So I was like, oh, that's a cool little reference. They gave her a lot of blue. I was surprised by that. She didn't actually have as much like black and yellow as I was anticipating at the end there. But they do explain that she's technically the daughter of the original Black Canary. So I was like, okay, that's also kind of cool. Like, they obviously have it in there. She's got the tattoo. The whole fight, she had like, gold pants and stuff like that. So I was like, they obviously put the gold colors in there. So I was kind of cool with it being like, since she is technically the daughter of the original Black Canary, that she would have a different color scheme. So I thought that was actually a cool idea. But all in all, it was definitely entertaining. I wish I mentioned this, but of course the post-credit sequence, in case you guys didn't stay, it's not a scene. It's literally just Harley Quinn talking. So for anyone who didn't get this, it's like the very end, like the credits are ending, and it's like, oh, you guys actually stayed this long, and it's like, well, since you guys did, I'll tell you guys like a super secret, and it's literally just her going like, did you know that Bruce Wayne, and then it just cuts off, or it's like, did you know Batman, and then it's just like it ends because that's technically the end. It's just a joke where she's gonna say something secret, and I don't know if that would have anything serious to do with the whole universe because it made it seem like she knows that Bruce Wayne is Batman. So I highly doubt that that's a real thing that they're gonna actually put in, but who knows? Who the f knows? They might do it, they might not do it. But I thought that was funny. It was like a really silly way to do it, where it's like she's just in the middle of talking, and then it just goes off, and that's it. And I was like, that's so silly. It's kind of a dick move, but also funny. Like they didn't have to do that, but they did. So I enjoyed that. But all in all, it was a fun movie. I was pleasantly surprised. I love the action in it. I love Black Mask. It sucks that he died, but maybe they'll do Flashpoint and be like, you know what, Ewan McGregor is amazing, not just as Obi-Wan, so let's have him come back as Black Mask. So we might get to see him at some point down the line, but even if we don't, I'll definitely remember him as one of my favorite villains. Honestly, he might be my favorite. Like, we'll see what happens when Shazam 2 comes out. They're supposed to have Black Adam. I don't know how I could possibly hate that, but I also didn't think Zod was like the coolest villain ever in Man of Steel, and I love Zod as a villain because he's fantastic. So even if they pick like great characters, it doesn't mean much. The Joker is a prime example. That wasn't a great example of the Joker, in my personal opinion, and basically the world's opinion either. So we'll see what happens. But all in all, I like this movie. I love the villains. I love the action. The comedy was actually good. I thought it was well paced, and it was interesting that they were doing the fourth wall breaks and stuff like that. I think that's an interesting way to take it, but I don't mind it. I think it's a cool way to do it, especially for Harley Quinn's character. It totally makes sense because she's crazy. So for her, it actually does work. Like if any character could be made into a fourth wall breaking character, I'd say it would be Harley Quinn. Like any character with like mental instabilities are perfect. They're perfect for that. But Harley Quinn being the funnier side of Joker and Harley Quinn, it makes more sense to do it with her than it would with Joker because he's a bit more serious. So it would be kind of weird if he did the fourth wall breaking. But for her, it just fits in perfectly. So I like the way they handled it, and I thought that was a really interesting idea. So I didn't expect it, but I definitely liked it because at first it was just narration, and then it went into like she would say stuff, and then she would like say it out loud, and even at other parts, she would like look into the camera. So I was like, okay. I like that idea. I think they'd be fine doing that, and I don't know if they could continue constantly making movies in this specific style where they like tell the story like kind of all over the place, but I think it worked. I think it worked very well for this movie actually, but I don't know if it would work as well if it's not basically a Harley Quinn movie. Like I still don't get why they called it Birds of Prey and not Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey, because the super long name doesn't make it cooler or anything. So I feel like it should have just been Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey. But it is what it is. It's basically her movie, so she, her doing the narration, it totally makes sense. But going forward into the expanded, DC universe where they're fighting, who knows who the F they're gonna have. But I don't know if it'll fit, forever. So this might unfortunately be like a one-off sort of thing, because I don't know how they could keep it going super well, but they probably could. Like all of her movies are just disjointed, weird, jumping all over the place storylines. If they can make it work, then that's totally fine. I think you can have a series like that. Especially it would be unique because there is no series where every movie is like disjointed, where it's just all over the place and kind of mixed up that way. So I think it would work really well. But we also just have to wait and see. But all in all, fun movie. Can't wait to see what they do next. Even though, it's Wonder Woman coming up next. I want to specifically see what they do with this side of things, the Gotham side of things. What the F is going to happen there? Will we see Batman, blend in with this stuff? Are they going to fix it all with the Flashpoint thing? I feel like that's where it's headed. They're going to do this Robert Pattinson Batman movie. If it goes well, they'll keep him on. If it doesn't, he's out, and it'll be another Batman. But if it goes well, they're going to do the Flash movie. And I feel like once they do Flashpoint, it's going to be like, here's what stays, and here's what goes. So I feel like that's what's going to happen. But either way, I'm just excited to see what comes next. And of course, I would love to know what you guys thought about the movie, so please put your comments down in the comment section below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, your least favorite parts about it. I would love to know where this ranks for you guys as well. For me, this might be like maybe number 3. I'd probably give it like number 3. Shazam for me is number 1. Currently, Wonder Woman I would give number 2. Aquaman I do really enjoy, so I feel like I like this a little bit more than Aquaman, so I'd probably give this number 3. I might give it number 2, just because it's been a while since I've seen Wonder Woman, and this just made me laugh. I just prefer comedy over drama, and that was definitely like a drama, superhero movie, and that's kind of what made it so good. It wasn't like a superhero movie; it was a drama movie. Also set in World War One, if I'm not mistaken. So it's like it just a totally different tone. So it's just my personal preference is more comedy. But I'd probably put this at 3. Like overall, 3, maybe 4, kind of tied with Aquaman a little bit. But we'll love to know where it ranks for you guys and what you thought about the movie in general. Do you want to see it continue? Do you think this was a good idea, a terrible idea? Does it even matter to you? So either way, want to see your comments down in the comment section below. So please put them there. And of course, thanks for watching.